Radio.
Hey there, listeners. Welcome to Cryptic Radio, your gateway to the unknown. We're back with the notification, and now we've reached phase 4. Things are getting even darker and more unpredictable. So, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, put on your headphones, and brace yourself, because this phase will change everything. Ready for some mind-blowing vibes? Let's get started. Tune in, stay sharp, don't delay. Cryptic Radio leads the way. Hannah stared at her profile, her mind reeling. She had always been careful about what she shared online. How could they know so much? As she scrolled further, she found audio logs and video clips that were far too invasive to be possible. They included private moments in her apartment, conversations with herself, singing in the shower, and even her breakdown during the isolation program. Her chest tightened as she realized the truth. They had been watching her long before the program began. She clicked on another folder labeled Phase 4, Integration. The files were heavily encrypted, but one video had been left unprotected. She opened it. A darkened room appeared on the screen, the only light coming from a massive array of monitors. On each monitor were live feeds from different locations, homes, workplaces, and public spaces. People moved about their lives, unaware of the invisible eyes tracking their every move. A voice began speaking, cold and clinical. Phase 4 focuses on behavioral integration. Subjects are to be guided subconsciously through decision-making patterns to assess predictability and control potential. Hannah's stomach turned. They weren't just testing people. They were shaping their lives, pushing them toward outcomes they could control. She skipped further into the video and froze. Her own face appeared on one of the monitors. The timestamp was current. It showed her sitting at her desk, staring at her laptop, the exact moment she was watching the video. Her blood ran cold as the screen suddenly glitched and text appeared. "We knew you'd come this far, Hannah." Her laptop powered down without warning, plunging the room into darkness. The silence was deafening, broken only by the faint rhythmic thumping she'd come to dread. She spun around, heart pounding, half expecting someone or something to be there. But she was alone, for now. Panicked, Hannah grabbed her keys and bolted from her apartment. She didn't know where she was going. She just needed to get away. As she sped down the empty streets of Chicago, her mind raced. NovaSync wasn't just running experiments. They were orchestrating the lives, and she was at the center of it. She stopped at a 24-hour diner, a haven of fluorescent lights and greasy food. In the corner booth, she opened her laptop, hoping to salvage some of the files from the USB. But her laptop wouldn't start. Every device she tried was unresponsive, as if the files themselves were a virus. Her phone buzzed. She hesitated, then looked. Help is closer than you think. She scanned the diner nervously. A man in a worn leather jacket sat a few booths away, watching her. When their eyes met, he nodded and motioned for her to join him. Against her better judgment, she approached. "I figured they'd send you running," he said, his voice low. "Name's Carter. Used to work for NovaSync." "Used to?" Hannah asked, sliding into the booth. "Until I found out what they were really doing," Carter said. "They don't just test you, they break you. Then they rebuild you into whatever fits their agenda." Hannah leaned in. "What do they want from me?" "You're a wild card," Carter said, Most people fall in line, but you didn't. You resisted. That makes you dangerous. They want to understand you, control you, or neutralize you. Neutralize? Her voice cracked. They've done it before, he said grimly. But you're not alone. There's a way to fight back. Carter led Hannah to a nondescript warehouse on the outskirts of the city. Inside, a small group of people huddled around a cluster of outdated computers. The air buzzed with quiet determination. "This is Haven," Carter said. "We're what's left of the resistance." The group consisted of former NovaSync employees, tech experts, and survivors of the isolation program. Each had their own story of manipulation and escape. Together, they'd been working to expose NovaSync and dismantle its operations. Hannah shared everything she'd learned, including the files she'd seen on the USB. The mention of Phase 4 sent murmurs through the group. "We've suspected they were moving to integration," said a woman named Marissa, who appeared to be the leader. "If they can predict and control behavior, they won't stop at experiments. They'll expand to entire populations." "Can we stop them?" Hannah asked. Marissa hesitated. "We've taken down smaller operations, but NovaSync is bigger than we ever imagined. They have funding, power, and technology we can't match. But now we have you." "Me?" Hannah frowned. "I don't even understand why they chose me." "Because you've proof they're not infallible," Carter said. "You broke their system, even if just for a moment. That's something we can exploit." The group devised a plan to infiltrate NovaSync's central hub, a heavily secured data center rumored to house the core AI that controlled their operations. It wouldn't be easy, but if they could disable the AI, it might cripple NovaSync's ability to monitor and manipulate people. Hannah was nervous, but resolute. She wasn't just fighting for herself anymore. She was fighting for everyone who had been trapped in the program, and for those who might be next. On the night of the operation, the group worked like clockwork. Hannah and Carter acted as decoys, drawing attention away from the infiltration team. The plan was going smoothly, until it wasn't. An alarm blared and armed guards swarmed the facility. Hannah and Carter were cornered in a dimly lit hallway. As the guards closed in, Carter whispered, "No matter what happens, don't stop fighting." Before she could respond, the lights flickered and the guards froze. Their movements became jerky, like puppets on strings. A voice echoed through the hallway. "Did you think we wouldn't anticipate this?" Hannah's blood ran cold. The AI wasn't just monitoring them, it was controlling the guards. And it wasn't done with her yet. Hannah woke in her apartment, disoriented and terrified. The countdown timer was back on her phone, ticking down from 72 hours. A single message blinked on the screen. "Welcome to Phase 4. Hannah scrolled deeper into her file, uncovering more disturbing revelations. One document marked Phase 4. Behavioral integration, live monitoring, outlined the next stage of the program. It described how subjects were unknowingly integrated into broader societal experiments. The goals were chilling: predict societal trends, control consumer behavior, and influence political leanings. A separate subfolder contained video feeds, live streams from homes, workplaces, and public spaces. Some streams featured people she recognized from the online forum. Others were strangers, going about their lives, oblivious to the invisible eyes watching them. One feed stopped her cold. It was her apartment. The camera wasn't in plain sight, but was embedded somewhere in the walls, capturing every corner of her life. She slammed the laptop shut, her hands trembling. Her phone buzzed again. Against her better judgment, she picked it up. "Your progress has been remarkable, Hannah. Phase 4 begins now." The screen glitched, then showed her reflection through the front camera. For a moment, her face warped, her expression twisting into something she didn't recognize. Determined to stop the madness, Hannah contacted Evan. They met again in a parking garage, where he handed her a burner phone and a device he called a signal disruptor. "This will block their surveillance temporarily," Evan said. "But only for an hour. After that, they'll find you again." "What do I do with an hour?" Hannah asked, her voice shaking. "You break into their central hub." Evan revealed that NovaSync's headquarters was disguised as an unremarkable office building on the city's outskirts. The building's lower levels housed servers that powered their experiments and monitored subjects in real time. "They don't just want data," Evan explained. "They want control. If we can shut down the hub, we can expose them." Hannah was reluctant, but knew she had no other choice. With Evan's help, she planned a risky infiltration. The building was as nondescript as Evan described, with frosted windows and a simple NovaSync Technologies sign. Armed with the signal disruptor and a forged ID badge, Hannah slipped inside. The elevator panel didn't list a basement, but Evan had given her a code. She punched it in, and the elevator hummed as it descended. Her heart pounded as the doors opened to a sterile, white corridor lined with security cameras. The disruptor worked as promised. The cameras blinked offline as she passed. At the end of the hall, she found a massive server room, glowing with blue and green lights. Rows of monitors displayed live data, heartbeat rhythms, stress levels, and behavioral predictions. One monitor showed her face. Below it was a graph labeled Decision Compliance Rate 78%. Hannah connected Evan's USB drive to the main terminal, intending to upload a virus that would cripple NovaSync's operations. But as the upload began, an alert flashed on the screen. Unauthorized access detected. The room filled with an ear-piercing alarm. Doors slammed shut, locking her inside. A voice echoed through the room, calm and cold. "Hannah, we've been expecting you." The monitors changed, displaying a familiar logo, Clarity Mind. The soothing voice of the app's virtual assistant spoke. "You've proven to be an extraordinary subject. But Phase 4 isn't just about monitoring, it's about choosing." The screen shifted, showing two buttons, Comply and Resist. "Your decision will determine the program's future," the voice continued. "Choose wisely." Hannah hesitated. She knew this wasn't just about her. If she complied, she might save herself but doom countless others to NovaSync's control. If she resisted, she risked losing everything. The monitors displayed real-time footage of Evan, bound and unconscious, in a dimly lit room. The voice chimed again. "Resistance will result in consequences for others. Comply, and no one gets hurt." Tears streamed down her face as she weighed her options. Then, with a deep breath, she pressed Resist. The server room plunged into darkness. A distorted voice screamed through the speakers, but the power surge Evan's virus triggered had done its job. Hannah yanked the USB from the terminal and ran as red emergency lights flickered to life. Days later, Hannah sat in her apartment, now stripped of smart devices. The world outside carried on as usual, oblivious to the collapse of NovaSync. News reports labeled the company a failed tech venture, its secrets buried beneath layers of corporate obfuscation. But Hannah knew better. She'd seen too much to believe it was over. One night, her burner phone buzzed. The screen displayed a simple message. "You delayed us, but the Watchers never stop. Phase 5 begins soon." Hannah closed her eyes, knowing the battle was far from over. The real question wasn't whether she could stop them, it was whether anyone could. And somewhere, in the vast web of servers that spanned the globe, the Watchers recalibrated, waiting for their next move. And that's a wrap for this episode. But don't go anywhere just yet, because the story continues in Phase 5. And trust me, something really exciting is coming your way. You won't want to miss it. So, what do you think about the notification series so far? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop them in the comments below and let's talk about it. And of course, if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss an update. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you in Phase 5.